And welcome again, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And this is it. This is the big one, the championship game for the 2023 Major League Rugby season. As the dust has settled, only two teams are left standing, and easily the two best teams throughout this entire season. Representing the Western Conference, the San Diego Legion. Representing the Eastern Conference, the New England Free Jacks. They'll be playing this Saturday, July 8th, noon p.m. Pacific Standard kickoff time. The game will be shown on Big Fox Network prime time. Not necessarily prime time because it's noon, but network television, Fox. It'll be at the SeatGeek Stadium in Chicago, Illinois. Not the first time that the Major League Rugby Championship game was played in neutral field, but the first time in a very long time. And it, again, will be between two of the best this season. We'll go into our preview of the game and pick 'em. Quick review of last week's action. I'll be honest with you, the two conference championship games were kind of lackluster, very one-sided games, but again, it's because it really was games that involved the best teams this entire season on their respective conferences. Let's go over to the Eastern Conference Championship game. Old Glory DC taking on the New England Free Jacks. Maybe, possibly, there would have been an upset in this game. Unfortunately, Old Glory did not show up to play. New England was pretty much dominant. It was 18-0 New England by the half. Old Glory ended up scoring one try at the very end by Threat and Palamo, but it ended up being all New England in the game. Moving over then to the Western Conference Championship game between bitter rivals, the San Diego Legion, Seattle Seawolves. San Diego has never beaten Seattle in the postseason. This would be their fourth time, and the fourth time was the charm. Seattle entered Snapdragon Stadium pretty beaten up. I mean, they had a very physical game against the Houston SaberCats, but don't take anything away from San Diego. Seattle did have their full complement of players. San Diego was just too much for them. They were up 13-0 at the 25-minute mark and pretty much never looked back. Big shout out to Thomas Aowake, who was easily the star of the game, scored a brace in that game. And again, it was pretty much all San Diego heading into the championship game. So, let's preview this game. Again, it's going to be this Saturday. There is no bye week like in American football. They are playing right away into the championship game this Saturday, July 8th, noon p.m. kickoff time. It can be seen on Big Fox, so it will not be on the Rugby Network unless you are an international viewer. It will be on the Rugby Network a couple of days later. And again, if you've missed any of the games this season, or if you are lacking and jonesing for some MLR action during the offseason, every game of this season, this really, really exciting season, can be seen on the Rugby Network, an absolutely free app. I honestly recommend you download that app. It is wonderful to watch. The game will be at a neutral site at SeatGeek Stadium in Chicago, Illinois. Once again, San Diego Legion, hottest team in the league, 16-1. They are on a 14-game win streak. Their last loss was Week 3 against the Houston SaberCats. I believe it is the longest winning streak of any MLR team in Major League Rugby history. They are going to go against easily the second best team in the conference. Some will argue maybe the best. 15-2 New England Free Jacks. They are on themselves a winning streak of 11 games. Their last loss was against Utah in Week 7. The only other loss in their year was against the San Diego Legion back in March. San Diego did defeat New England 29-12 in Week 2 of the season, so really early in the year. So not necessarily were both teams at 100%, but a pretty dominant win for San Diego. These two teams have only played each other 3 times in history, and as I mentioned before, one win earlier this year by San Diego. Will they repeat? We'll see. San Diego has made it, as I mentioned before, to the postseason 3 times. All 3 times they lost against Seattle. Once in the semifinals in the very first year of the MLR franchise. In the second year, they lost in the championship game against Seattle, and then just last year they lost to Seattle, who were very hot last season. They were the hot team going into the playoffs in the conference semifinals. New England, this is the second time that they've been into the playoffs. First time in the championship game. They were in the playoffs last season where they lost to New York in the conference semifinals. Actually, I'm sorry, in the conference championship game. This is going to be a very interesting game. Like I said, you have two of the best. New England did not have Bodine Waka in their game against Old Glory after he suffered that injury in the very last week of the season. We'll see if Bodine Waka comes back. To be honest, New England didn't really need Bodine Waka in the game against Old Glory. Who knows if they'll need them against San Diego. I mean, San Diego is going to be a tougher team. Having that depth with Bodine Waka will be crucial, in my opinion. But again, you have Jason Patras, who has been nothing but phenomenal. Easily, maybe your MLR Player of the Year, because he definitely filled very big shoes that were left by Bodine Waka and arguably took New England further than Bodine did. In this season going into the championship game. San Diego, you have pretty much everybody that you need. Nanu, you have Braki, you have Thomas Aoke, who was the star of the championship conference game. I mean, there's just so much talent in San Diego right now. Both teams are, again, easily your two best teams in the entire league. So it is only apropos that these two teams will face off against each other in the biggest game of the season. You know, because the teams are so well even balanced, you might have to start taking external situations into mind. The game is being played in Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is not very far from Boston, Massachusetts, or Quincy, Massachusetts, where the New England Free Jacks are based. It is, I looked it up in the map, it is maybe like a 3-hour, if that, plane ride over. San Diego is definitely flying a lot further to get to Chicago. Actually, I think even the Boston to Chicago is maybe even less than 3-hour flight. San Diego is definitely at least a 5 to 6 hour flight to get to Chicago. You're also traveling across the country. You know, you put that into the factors, and you know it would favor New England a little bit more. New England, I feel, would be a little bit more acclimated with the hot humidity that Chicago has. If you're anywhere familiar to the western side of the United States, our humidity is more of a dry humidity, which is far different. And you know, I've experienced both sides. Granted, I am a Cali boy, born and raised. I feel the wet humidity that Chicago has is much more miserable and harder to deal with than the dry humidity. So that will play a factor into the game. Now again, San Diego didn't seem to have any issues beating Chicago when they went over to Chicago. And again, they did defeat New England at the very beginning of the season. But beginning of the season, I don't believe the humidity was nearly as high. I can't say what the humidity level would have been with Chicago at that time when they played against the Chicago Hounds with San Diego. So again, so many factors that could easily play a factor into this game between two very even teams. San Diego wanting to prove a point. They've come very close before and just been shy. They've gotten over the hump of beating Seattle, that one thorn in their side. This is the very first time New England has made it to the conference championship. But man, do they look good. They've looked really dominant. Both teams have looked dominant. I'm just kind of hedging and hesitating to make the pick. I've gone back and forth with this. As much as I am a San Diego, or as much as I am a West Coast boy, I'm going to have to go with New England. I believe New England is going to win this game. I think the factor would be Jason Patras has just been so amazing. Granted, Nanu has looked phenomenal, and you do have a lot of great weapons in San Diego. I think New England, again, less travel, easier acclimated with the climate. Both teams are super talented. San Diego did beat New England at the beginning of the season, so New England has a little bit more emphasis on wanting to win. Um, yeah, I think New England will win this game. I mean, I'm hesitating. I really am now second guessing myself, but I think New England will walk away and win their very first championship shield. I just feel bad for San Diego because they've come close now multiple times, and I just don't think they'll win it in this one. But I could be wrong. So, anyway, don't forget, guys, you can watch this game live on the Fox Network, noon kickoff time if you're on the Pacific Standard Time, 3 o'clock, of course, Eastern Time. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. Again, it is an appropriate game for this season ender as you have two of the best, 1 and 2 of the league. So it is appropriate to see those two play. God, I'm second guessing myself. I want to pick San Diego, but I'm going to stick with New England. I think New England will win this and get their first championship shield. I feel bad for San Diego because, again, like I said before, another really close attempt, just going to be short. But, again, could be wrong. Enjoy the game, guys. This will obviously be the last video for the Major League Rugby 2023 season. I appreciate all the support and love that you guys have shown me. I appreciate all the people that took part in the Super Brew. Once again, congratulations to Mike. Thank you very much, brother, for your win. The donation has been sent to the SBCLA. I know they appreciate you allowing me to donate to them. We will, of course, still have videos throughout the off-season. I mean, just because the MLR season ends doesn't mean that rugby ends. If anything, international competition continues. Now, of course, USA men's did not make this year's World Cup, but we do have some international competition this summer. We also do have the under-20s USA team did make the under-20 trophy tournament, which hopefully will be shown on World Rugby's YouTube channel. And so I will preview that. Women's competition is heating up for the summer as well. And of course, PR7s, they have kicked off with their Eastern and Western Conference openers. Hopefully you were able to watch those on TV. I'm planning on previewing the championship final, which is in August, once that plays on. And again, doing other previews. I will probably do a World Cup preview, even though America's not in it, just because, again, it is the World Cup. Maybe we'll do a watch along. Of course, I got to root for my boys, Japan. And I think it'll be just a lot of fun. World Cup is always a great time, especially if you're a rugby fan, especially if you're a new rugby fan. It's a great time to get into the game, even though America didn't make it. So, as I mentioned, lots of rugby still to come, even though the MLR season is over. Of course, then we have the draft in August as well. So yeah, still a lot of stuff to talk about. And again, I appreciate you guys watching me and supporting me through season 2 of my following of actually this is season 3. God, season 3 of me following the MLR in the MLR league, and here's to a couple more seasons as well. So my love for rugby will continue, and I'm hoping to spread the love to America and bring in more fans here in the United States. So again, enjoy the game. Hopefully it's a great one. Let's go New England. I'll see if I stick with that until the very end. But again, thank you very much for watching my video. Again, thank you so much for your support. Much love, appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the pitch.